when we become Lebanon, then everyone who owns gold is going to be able to buy their consumer goods really, really cheaply, including real estate and almost everything. Almost everything is going to be devalued against real money, because in a world where most people don't have money, the division of labor can potentially break down. So you need the economy, the global economy this time, not just the Lebanese economy, but the global economy, to incentivize as much as humanly possible to get that money circulating again, to maintain the division of labor or whatever is left of it. Otherwise, we could really see society break down. We're not going to see that, because the prices the things that you could get from exchange of gold and silver are going to be so radical and such a good rate that people are not going to be able to resist.
Rafi Faber, renowned author, investor, and proponent of the Austrian Business Cycle, has been warning about the collapse of the global monetary system for quite a while. But we are now so close to what Faber describes as the endgame that it's safe to assume the warning period is over and the global collapse is closer than it has ever been. Faber and other endgame investors believe precious metals like gold and silver are one of the primary tools for preparing for the setting of the sun on the United States dollar. According to the renowned investor and author, we are only one financial collapse away from complete chaos and utter destruction. Faber recently appeared for an interview on the Liberty and Finance YouTube channel, where he discusses the current state of the Lebanese economy and how it is a dire warning for what's coming for the rest of the world. In March, the Lebanese pound became the world's worst performing currency in history after falling to an incredible low of 100,000 Lebanese pounds to 1 USD on the parallel market. The country is currently experiencing such terrible economic chaos that citizens have been taking up arms to free their deposits from the banks. Residents of the Mediterranean country have been relying on the dollar to pay for goods and services that have been skyrocketing in the highly hyperinflated environment. But Faber says the reliance on the US dollar is only temporary, as the global reserve currency is just one crisis away from turning into the Lebanese pound. He explains that with the Federal Reserve's unchecked money printing, the United States and the rest of the global economy is just one crisis away from hyperinflation. When it hits, Faber predicts that the prices of all goods will skyrocket and gold will hit at least $35,000 per ounce. Faber predicts that the dollar, which he describes as an ordinary gold substitute, will collapse rapidly, leaving the world no choice but to return to gold and silver, the only true money according to the renowned investor. We will now bring you clips from Faber's interview with Liberty and Finance. Please watch, share, and like this video. Also, ensure you subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications, and don't forget to drop your comments and observations in the comments section below. Thanks and enjoy.
The prices of consumer goods, specifically food, basic necessities in Lebanon, is going way, way up in Lebanese pound terms. But in terms of dollars, it's going way, way down. I remember seeing a food blog that I put a clip in on my video, that bread prices were down about 100 times. Bread that used to cost $1 now costs a penny, certain types of bread. So meaning it depends what currency you're in, which shows that it's not really prices of food going up. It's really the Lebanese currency going down, and then them needing that economy needing some kind of a gold substitute, some kind of a functioning money substitute that still works, so they can divide labor, which is why the prices of bread are going so precipitously down in the country. So meaning hyperinflation isn't really hyperinflation. It's not the prices of things going up. If you just take it one step back, Lebanon is hyperinflating in terms of its own currency, and then people go to the next most functional currency, which is the next most functional gold substitute. That's how I view a currency, being a functional gold substitute that exists, which is the dollar. So the question is, what happens when the dollar collapses? What happens to food prices? Well, in dollar terms, just taking it a step back from exactly what's going on in Lebanon, food prices go way up in dollar terms. So people who have dollars, they become poorer and poorer as the prices of survival in those denominated terms become higher and higher. But when the prices of what goes lower and lower when the dollar hyperinflates, and that is in gold and silver, because that is the money, that's not the substitute. And there is no gold substitute beneath the dollar, because the dollar is the reserve. That's really what the definition of reserve currency means. It means the chief or the primary gold substitute in any given economic system. So in a global system, it would be the dollar, which is it's not any special status or anything. It's a historical accident. If you're a Lebanese and you own dollars now, you're doing pretty well. But come the day, and those Lebanese that have those dollars, they're not going to be able to buy anything either. So if you're in Lebanon and you're stacking gold or silver, probably silver would be easier, because if you want to buy food, gold's going to be hard to exchange. So you're going to need a little bit of gold and a lot of silver. And if you hold that, then yeah, you can acquire dollars with that. That shouldn't be a problem. It's just one more step if you need to have dollars to buy your food. But the Lebanese are going to go through another round of hyperinflation when the dollar falls, but so is the whole world. So what's going to happen in the endgame is basically what's happening in Lebanon, but in the whole world. And instead of dollars, the dollars are going to be gold. So if everyone is holding dollars and those dollars are no longer worth anything, then the world needs a liquidity to trade with. It needs a money. And according to the Austrian School of Economics, liquidity is money. It's the same thing. So when we become Lebanon, then everyone who owns gold is going to be able to buy their consumer goods really, really cheaply, including real estate and almost everything.
Faber envisions a not-too-far future when the entire global economy descends into complete chaos. He believes the fall of the U.S. economy will be the catalyst that will destroy the rest of the global economy. When asked to give a time frame for when the chaos will begin, Faber says it is much closer than we all think. He predicts it will begin a year or two, or at most, after the next financial crisis. That crisis, which Faber thinks will be the big and final one, might have already started with the commercial real estate crisis storm already gathering on the clouds. Let's get back to the interview.
If you just expand what has been happening since 2020, just monetarily, right? The Fed prints a whole bunch of money, expands its balance sheet, and then all of the central banks, they're pretending to be wise on their own and do what they need to do independently for their own countries and their own territories, but really they're just following the Fed because they have to. We're seeing the same thing now. The Fed is pushing up interest rates and putting the brakes on the money supply, and so are the other central banks. They're raising interest rates and putting brakes on the money supply. They're not doing anything independently. Really, the Fed is the central bank of the whole world, and everybody follows it. Why? Because these currency regimes, they have to keep their currencies in a general trading exchange window in order to maintain their economic structures as they have been, or else there's going to be a serious upheaval in their countries where the exporters are going to complain, the importers are going to complain, people are going to lose their jobs, and things are going to have to be reorganized. It's like telling your kid to clean your room, and they don't want to because it takes a lot of energy. But like, there's a lot of garbage that is built up in all these economies, and all the central banks are following the Fed. So when the dollar falls, meaning to expand that out, when the dollar starts to hyperinflate, it's not like the euro is going to do so well all of a sudden. If the dollar hyperinflates and the euro and the ECB decides, okay, we're gonna raise interest rates and strengthen the euro while the dollar collapses, then the entire trade flow relationship between the EU and the United States will reverse, and that's going to disrupt the entire trade system. And these politicians are not built to handle that, so they'll just all hyperinflate with the dollar. One, I don't know exactly when. I can't give you a month or a day or even a year. I mean, I think it's going to be this year or next. Admittedly, I've been saying that for a long time. But what I think is a much surer call is that the next financial crisis will be the last one. I don't see them coming out of this next financial crisis with any credibility, because they got inflation down to 3% a year. Wow, so low. But if you look at the month over month, I think it's at 0.2, and I think that has been ticking up. I think we've hit the bottom in the inflationary CPI, which is pretty much a fake report, but there's some heuristics to it. There's some reliability to it, very little. So in terms of timing and gold and silver, right? The reason for stacking gold and silver, we have to. It's hard to do, but we have to get out of our heads multiplying the gold and silver that we have by the dollar price, and then calculating how much dollars we have, because that's what we all do. That's even what I do sometimes, because I still count things in dollars. I don't really count things in gold and silver ounces, because I never lived that way, even though I know it's true. So if we get ourselves out of the dollar paradigm mentally, and we're not really interested in how many dollars we have, then the timing doesn't really matter, because when you have a gold and silver ounce, you have it, whether we're in the end game or not. And if you need to use it, you can use it. You'll always be able to use it. You'll be able to liquidate it if you need to get dollars if you need them. What you don't have to worry about, you don't have to worry about the business cycle anymore. You don't have to worry about if you're like you own stock in JP Morgan or Bank of America. Is Bank of America going to collapse, or my shares going to be worthless tomorrow? Because that can happen with banks. I mean, look at PacWest owners. Look at Silicon Valley Bank stock owners. You never have to worry about that with gold and silver ever. You just have to hold it. And if we're lucky and if we're right, then soon enough the end game will come, and we'll be able to liquidate our stacks, or most of our stacks, for real assets and provide the economy, the global economy, the money it needs to survive.
Faber says you should not see your gold and silver as investments, but as a civic duty to your country and service to humanity. He explains that when the final collapse happens and everyone turns to gold and silver, your investments will help the world find liquidity to sustain the division of labor and keep the people alive. He also suggests you calculate your expenses in gold and silver terms now and compare them to how much they are worth in gold and silver terms after the collapse. What are your thoughts on Rafi Faber's interview? Please drop your comments and observations in the comments section below. Also, ensure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more videos on gold, silver, and other precious metals. Thanks for watching.